Ladies and gentlemen, welcome back to the channel, and weekend 1 of the Modern Warfare 2 beta has concluded, and surprisingly enough, Infinity Ward has already given us a blog post where they're going to be giving us their feedback from what they learned from weekend 1 and what they're going to be changing about the game going from weekend 1 of the beta to the open beta on weekend 2, where everyone can play on Xbox, PlayStation, as well as PC. Interestingly enough, I was not expecting them to give us a blog post this quickly. If we actually go ahead and check out my YouTube channel here, as you guys can see, it's time for Infinity Ward to make their move, where I was going to talk about how we're waiting for this blog post and a couple of other things that came out news related, but it's a pretty short video. There's no sense in making it go public now, but if you guys want to check it out, it is unlisted. I'll put a link to it down there in the description. You guys go ahead and check that out. But here's going to be the blog post: Modern Warfare 2 community update beta weekend 1. We have some good changes in here and some pretty bad changes. I can't wait to see what you guys think about this. So hello Modern Warfare 2 players. It's been amazing to see so many of you hopping into weekend 1 of the multiplayer beta on Sony platforms. Throughout weekend 1, we played the game, watched the game being played, read your feedback, and talked to many of you. At a high level, leading into weekend 2, we fixed various crashes, addressed a few gameplay exploits, patched some map geo and lighting issues, and updated progression for some gunsmith related bugs. Here are some things we have heard from you on Minimap.rules. This is a big one, right? Are we going to be getting the classic minimap? No, and it doesn't make any sense. So they say currently in the Modern Warfare 2 beta, we only show enemy player dots while a UAV is active. The design reason for this is that we do not want to punish players for firing their weapons. We also want players to actively search out the origin of a gunshot versus just traveling directly to where the dot is on the minimap. We continue to gather feedback on how the game is playing in regards to this topic. What kind of nonsense is that? The design reason for this is we don't want to punish you for firing your weapons. It's going to make suppressors OP. Everyone's going to have to run suppressors. Really? If only we had over 10 years worth of COD history to look back on where the minimap worked just fine. It's only in recent years you guys are changing this. Why? Why are they doing this? It makes no sense to me whatsoever. It's something you can get used to for sure. I mean, we saw it back during Modern Warfare 2019, and now we're dealing with again here in Modern Warfare 2, but still, it's like, why are you reinventing the wheel when it comes to the minimap? People like the normal traditional minimap. Sure, there's gonna be a couple of you that disagree and say, I like the minimap as it is right now, but whatever, dude. Like, COD had the normal minimap for over 10 years, then they just get rid of it and give us a bullshit reason. The same thing with Prestige mode. They haven't mentioned Prestige mode yet, but we had Prestige mode for over a decade, and then out of nowhere, they're like, you know what? We bet you guys don't like that as much. We're going to get rid of that. We're like, what? Who wants Prestige mode gone? Who wants the minimap reworked? It really doesn't make any sense to me whatsoever. But continuing on here, target tracking. We've seen feedback that it's hard to track targets once you get into a firefight. We agree this is an issue, and we have changes incoming to reduce muzzle smoke opacity and increase the visibility of the muzzle flash to help engage someone who is firing at you. These changes should help with tracking your opponents in combat. We're also investigating more ways to visually differentiate enemies and friendlies outside of the standard nameplates above the heads of opposing players. We'll be trying a few changes in weekend 2. More on that later this week. So apparently we're going to be getting another blog post, which is good news. I like the transparency, but target tracking, it was pretty tough in weekend 1. It really was. When you started getting shot at, your screen would get all fuzzy. The muzzle flash was ridiculous. The smoke and the gas or whatever coming out of the barrel of your gun was a lot to deal with. And it was hard to kill people that were more than 10 feet away. They're going to be changing that going to weekend 2. Thumbs up for Infinity Ward. Great job there. Still mad about the minimap, but target tracking and fixing that, definitely some good news. User interface. We've seen the feedback around difficulty editing perk packages, managing loadouts, and accessing the armory. We have identified some UX issues as well as some bugs. These are things we won't be able to adjust in time for beta weekend 2, but they are top of mind ahead of launch. So they're going to be working on the UI. Everyone said right from the beginning that the UI was like really clunky. Like it functioned, but it was just really confusing and really clunky. It didn't feel all that good, kind of similar to how the original Call of Duty World War II UI was. It was just like really not all that good and kind of like needlessly convoluted. So they're there you have it. They're going to be fixing that. It won't be there for weekend 2 of the beta, but they're looking to have it fixed by the time the game comes out on October 28th. Here we have perks. The perks are definitely a controversial subject, so let's see what they have to say. We've seen varied feedback on the perk package system. Some players love it, and others feel it's an unnecessary departure from the original system. Yeah, I'm raising my hand. Like, again, I don't hate the system. It's just like, why are we reinventing the wheel? It doesn't make any sense. But continuing on here, we feel it's a nice shake up to how perks work and to the general progression of a match. We've also balanced the ultimate perks to be more powerful as you earn them later in the match. We'll continue testing throughout beta weekend 2, including drastically accelerating the earn rate of these to see how players react. Our goal remains improving the flow of all perks ahead of launch. So they're going to be adjusting things, because one of the problems is, like, if you join the game late, for example, you have no score to help out you earning your bonus perk as well as your ultimate perk, and that becomes an issue because everyone else in the game has an advantage because they have score. How the perks work is every 4 minutes, you'll end up getting that bonus perk, and then 8 minutes into the match, you'll get your ultimate perk. If you join late, all you have is that timer. Like, let's say you join in 3.5 minutes into the match. Well, sure, 30 seconds in, you'll get your bonus perk, and that's fine, but everyone else probably already had their bonus perk by that point because that time is accelerated by kills, assists, calling in kill streaks, you know, diving on the objective, capturing flags, and doing things like that. Like, every bit of score you get, every 10 score, shaves off a second of that perk time. And if you join the game late, you don't have any of that score. You just have the time itself. And so it's definitely pretty frustrating at times, and they're going to be adjusting it, making it so we can earn those perks even faster in weekend 2, so they can hopefully be able to find the sweet spot. But continuing on here, this is the worst news of all, ladies and gentlemen. Dead Silence. Dead Silence is another hot topic, as many players have expressed that they would like to see it as a perk instead of a field upgrade. We believe it is important to game health that rushers are not able to move at high speeds without consequences. Dead Silence as a field upgrade creates a balance between freedom of movement and predictability of combat. So at least they gave us a reason, but it's a bullshit reason, dude. Like, going back to it, we've had Dead Silence or Ninja or whatever as a perk in the COD franchise for over a decade, ever since Call of Duty 4. And sure, it was a really good perk, but you know what else was a good perk? Steady aim. Back when, extreme conditioning to an extent, not so much. Deep impact, right? What you do, if you have a really powerful perk like Dead Silence, you put it in the same perk category as other powerful perks, so people have to make an important decision. The same thing was true of Ghost. Back in the day, you had to choose between Flak Jacket or Ghost. Both are very good for different reasons. And now they're just saying, you know what? You can have 2 base perks, both of which are kind of mediocre, and then you can have a bonus perk and an ultimate perk. By the way, it's kind of hard to earn those, and they kind of screw you over if you join games late. But Dead Silence as a base perk? No, sir. We can't just have that. Like, how hard is it to balance the game around your perks? They did this so well. I mean, some perks are broken like One Man Army, but they did this so well in the original Modern Warfare 2, Black Ops 1, Black Ops 2, Modern Warfare 3, for crying out loud, Call of Duty Ghosts even did it better than this. Like, we have so much history in the COD franchise, and it's like they just forget that those other games even existed. Sure, I like what they said about the perks because they feel as though it's a nice way to shake things up and whatever, but why reinvent the wheel of the perks? If you go back to the standard perk 1, perk 2, and perk 3, you can easily have Ghost be a perk that's available to you all the time, as long as it's balanced by having other powerful perks within the same category. And the same is true of Dead Silence. Like, they're creating problems here and not giving us solutions to them. They're like, look, we decided to make this really difficult and complex problem, and we know you guys don't like it, but we don't know how to fix it because we've limited ourselves within this brand new system that no one really wanted to have in the first place. Like, oh, it's frustrating, dude. I could just... I could go on and on, but you know what? You guys have heard it in all my previous videos so far this week, so let's just go ahead and jump right back into the blog post. I hope they can reconsider, man. I hope they reconsider Dead Silence. Even making it like a bonus perk. Making an ultimate perk would just be stupid, because in Search and Destroy, it would take you too long to even get your ultimate perk, but regardless. We're going back to the blog post here. Footsteps. This is actually good news. Footstep audio in week 1 of the multiplayer beta was very high, giving players long-distance directional information about enemies. For weekend 2, we have some changes changes coming in. All right, like the sound of that. We are reducing the range of footstep audio for the various player movement states, jog, sprint, and tactical sprint. This will help soften the cost of moving around the map. We definitely needed that. And the second change is that enemy and friendly footsteps are now distinct. It's almost as if we had that in previous games. This should help players better understand what's going on as things move around the battlefield. More details to follow. And then sliding, to wrap things up here, sentiment around the removal of slide canceling remains positive. We are aware of the workaround and are contemplating how to handle it for weekend 2 of the beta. Additionally, we have some other slide changes for launch, which will make this movement feel a bit more fluid and snappy. Stay tuned to the Infinity Ward channels for more details on the changes we'll be implementing for beta ahead of weekend 2. Crossplay kicks off Thursday, September 22nd at 10 a.m. Pacific. We will see you there. All right, cool. We got our blog post. Is it good news? Yes. I definitely think there's some good changes here. They're aware of the perk system and they're trying to figure out like how they can possibly make it work. Target tracking, which was actually a big problem. If you think about it, like your core to core, like everyday gameplay behavior, you see somebody downrange, you go through the middle of that map that's set in Mexico, I forget the name of it, and you look down the very middle where everyone's always head glitching. It's really hard to take out people at those really long ranges because regardless of your aim and your recoil control and whatever, it's just, you can't see half the time, you know what I mean? So them actually fixing all the muzzle flash and fixing things like the gas and the smoke and whatever coming out of the barrel of the gun, that's good news right there. They're going to be updating the user interface, also good news. They're going to be working on the perk system, even though, it's not exactly the perk system that we want, that is good news. They're lowering footsteps, that is good news. They're keeping slide canceling out of the game, and they're going to be trying to patch up any workarounds that people are using to be able to slide cancel regardless. Also good news. But some of the biggest points of contention for me personally, the minimap it's staying the same. They won't go back to the old minimap, and dead silence is still not going to be a perk. Bad news in my opinion, but I will say, and I discussed it in yesterday's video, that I feel as though Modern Warfare 2 is a step up from Modern Warfare 2019. I think it's better than Vanguard. Hard to say right now compared to Black Ops Cold War, in my opinion anyway, but this does feel so far like a pretty good game. And sure, there's a bunch of discrepancies and things I would personally change, but everyone has an opinion, right? That's what's so fun about the COD community. Everyone has a different opinion of what's good versus what's bad. I could make all the changes I would want to Modern Warfare 2, and I would hand it off to the next guy, and they would say, we're gonna fix this, tweak this, do this, and do whatever. That's how we are as gamers. Everyone wants their perfect game and their vision to be actualized within the game. I get that, but these are just some really popular opinions that Infinity Ward is just ignoring. The minimap and dead silence. I don't get it. I talked about it at length, but going back to the original perk system would make so much more sense. It really would. Problem is, they decided to give us a beta 1 month before launch. So even if they heard so much feedback, and even if they decided over there at Infinity Ward, you know what, this new perk system doesn't really make a whole lot of sense. It was a cool idea to change the momentum of the match. Someone who's popping off early gets access to more perks, therefore the rich get richer. But even if they wanted to go back to the old system, I don't think they'd have time to do it. Have you seen their UI? How'd they figure that out? I guess they could just copy and paste it in from previous games, but regardless, ladies and gentlemen, that is the blog post. That's what we have going from weekend 1 into weekend 2. A little bit of news here. Weekend 2, I talked about this in my video that is now unlisted, but weekend 2 will indeed have ground war, and we now have the PC specs for Modern Warfare 2. And interestingly enough, you have to have a phone number associated with your account because Bobby Kotick needs your number if you want to be able to play the beta, apparently, which is just weird, but I guess we'll have to wait and see how that's going to play out. But ladies and gentlemen, that is all for this update video here today. I hope you enjoyed it. Leave your thoughts and feedback on all of these changes and all of this news down there in the comment section below. Be sure to subscribe if you're new around here, and I hope you guys all have a wonderful day.